July 30th, that's the tentative restart date for the NBA season. But in these uncertain times, the NBA is finding that restarting a league is anything but simple. As a handful of reopened states are starting to experience sharp increases in coronavirus testing results, safety is still a concern, even in the league's self-described bubble in Disney World. And the climate in this country surrounding issues of race and police brutality have many players wondering if playing is the best way forward.
We're trying to find a way to our own normal in the middle of a pandemic and now with enormous social unrest in the country.
The NBA has a quandary on its hands. The league lost an estimated $650 million in revenue since suspending its season on March 11th. It stands to lose a reported $900 million in national television revenue, according to The Athletic, if the playoffs are canceled, not to mention millions more from local television deals if they don't restart the regular season. So the league and the players' union have approved plans for a 22-team, 8-game wrap-up to the regular season, followed by a play-in tournament for the 8th seed and playoffs.
And in all honesty, there may not be a better place than Disney World.
Played in the bubble of the Walt Disney World ESPN Wide World of Sports complex. Problem solved? If only it were that simple. The league is planning for frequent coronavirus testing and temperature checks to keep the bubble relatively virus-free. Is virus-free possible? And what will happen if a player contracts the virus or a team suffers an outbreak?
But I think as far as the racial injustice, I think that's where a lot of the struggle is for a lot of athletes.
And there are the protests over racial injustice and police brutality taking place across America and around the world, leading to questions of whether basketball will steal the spotlight from Black Lives Matter. On a Players Association phone call on Friday, Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving implored players to sit out the resumption of the season in Orlando, saying, according to reports, "I don't support going to Orlando. I'm not with the systematic racism and the BS," and adding, "I'm willing to give up everything I have for social reform." And Dwight Howard echoed those comments in a statement to CNN this weekend. "I agree with Kyrie. Basketball or entertainment period isn't needed at this moment and will only be a distraction," adding, "I would love nothing more than to win my very first NBA championship, but the unity of my people would be an even bigger championship, and that's just too beautiful to pass up."
A lot of guys in the league have a point. I think Kyrie and Dwight have a point. So I understand it all.
For more on this, let's welcome in ESPN NBA reporter Malika Andrews. Malika, the coalition of players, including Kyrie Irving and Avery Bradley, they sent a statement to you and Adrian Wojnarowski. And one point they made was, quote, "What is our big picture? We are in this for unity and change." How do they want to achieve this?
Yeah, Ryan, in one of the things that we pointed out in that story that Adrian and I worked on that's up on ESPN.com is that these players are looking for some sort of collective buy-in from, one, the league office and everyone up there, but two, individual teams, and that includes players, owners, everyone that is involved in different facets of basketball in the league to come together, and the way they described it is pool together their resources. Now that means financial, that means their ideas and otherwise, in order to come up with that tangible plan in terms of those big changes that they're talking about. Because what's become abundantly clear to me in all of this is that these players feel so passionately about continuing the discussion and the action and the change that we're seeing potentially surrounding racial injustices, police brutality, and Black Lives Matter. What the divide is and the conversation is surrounding is whether or not that is best achieved by playing and having some of those sit-down conversations in Orlando in between and before games, or whether or not that is done outside of the bubble with people talking there and maybe potentially taking some of that space that they would have in the bubble and saying, look at what we're able to do even while we're not playing basketball.
Okay, so the issue will be then, will they play or not? You've had discussions with the Nets' Garrett Temple and other players, but Temple is aligned with Players Association members who want to play. What does he think about the coalition's approach?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I want to be clear. When I spoke to Garrett, it was not specifically about the players, this coalition of players and their approach. What I asked Garrett is, what do you think is the best, most potent way to have your message heard? That's what our conversation was about. And he told me something really interesting. He said that he believes that players have a unique opportunity, if they do go to Orlando, to be able to come together, have these important discussions, also do different versions of symbolism around activism, and then also to potentially have a bigger platform and microphone than they would if they didn't go to Orlando. And the other thing that he mentioned is that the money that they're able to earn, because remember, they only earn paychecks if they go and actually play, the money that they would be able to earn there, they have the opportunity to reinvest that into Black and brown communities. And what he said to me was that right now, he just doesn't see the direct correlation between playing and not playing, and not playing directly impacting changing the laws that oppress Black and brown people. And he said if he did see that correlation, then maybe his stance would be different. But because he doesn't see a direct tie, he thinks going, playing, and using the platform they have there could potentially be their best option.
And then the other issue, Malika, is the coronavirus. What concerns are you hearing from players on whether this bubble is going to provide an environment that's safe from the coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on, Ryan. There's a lot going on, especially in terms of the coronavirus. But what I've been hearing is just players looking at the data. What we've seen over the last several days, over the last week, as different states have continued to loosen their guidelines and open up and lessen their restrictions, is that cases have started to spike in different places in Florida, including surrounding areas of where their bubble site would be in Orlando. And that is understandably a cause for concern because, look, the NBA has said since the beginning that there is no zero risk scenario here. So what players are grappling with, it's one thing to say in sort of practice, oh yeah, we want to play. But as you inch towards the actual date where the NBA may and is planning on reopening again, they are concerned that that risk that they said, oh hey, yeah, we're okay with tolerating, it's becoming very real for them right now.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.